Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who loved wearing a bright red hooded cape that her grandmother had made for her. Because of this, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother asked her to take some goodies, like bread, cookies, and a jar of honey, to her grandmother, who lived deep in the forest. Before Little Red Riding Hood left, her mother said, "Remember, don't talk to strangers and stay on the path." Little Red Riding Hood nodded, but as we'll see, following instructions wasn't exactly her strong suit. Off she went, skipping down the forest path, carrying her basket of goodies. The woods were filled with the sounds of birds chirping, leaves rustling, and somewhere nearby, paws tiptoeing through the trees. The big bad wolf appears. As Little Red Riding Hood walked through the forest, a wolf suddenly appeared from behind a tree. Now, this wasn't your ordinary wolf. He was a cunning, clever wolf who could talk. "Where are you going, little girl?" the wolf asked with a sly grin. "I'm going to my grandmother's house to bring her some goodies," Little Red Riding Hood said, completely forgetting her mother's warning about talking to strangers. The wolf's eyes lit up with a wicked idea. "Oh, I see. How lovely," he said. "And where does your grandmother live?" Little Red Riding Hood, being young and trusting, told the wolf exactly where her grandmother's cottage was. The wolf smiled and thought, "What a delicious surprise this is going to be. I bet your grandmother would love some flowers," the wolf suggested. "Why don't you pick some while you're on your way?" Little Red Riding Hood thought this was a wonderful idea, so she wandered off the path to pick flowers, while the wolf ran straight to Grandma's house. The wolf's trick. When the wolf reached Grandma's cottage, he knocked on the door. "Who's there?" Grandma called from inside. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood," the wolf said in a high, sweet voice. "Come in, dear," Grandma said. But when she opened the door, she was shocked to see the wolf instead of her granddaughter. Before she could say a word, the wolf gobbled her up whole. "Don't worry. This is a fairy tale, so Grandma was magically fine later." The wolf quickly put on one of Grandma's nightgowns and her big sleeping cap, then hopped into bed, pulling the blankets up to his chin. He waited there, disguised as Grandma, for Little Red Riding Hood to arrive. "What big eyes you have!" After a while, Little Red Riding Hood finally reached her grandmother's cottage with a basket full of goodies and a handful of flowers. She knocked on the door and a deep voice from inside called, "Come in, dear." When Little Red Riding Hood entered the cottage, she noticed something was off. Her grandmother looked a little different today. Grandmother, Little Red Riding Hood said, stepping closer to the bed. What big eyes you have! All the better to see you with, my dear, the wolf said in his best grandma voice. And Grandmother, Little Red Riding Hood continued, what big ears you have! All the better to hear you with, my dear, the wolf replied, pulling the blanket up higher. And Grandmother, she said slowly, what big teeth you have! The wolf grinned a sharp, toothy grin and said, all the better to eat you with. With that, the wolf jumped out of bed and lunged at Little Red Riding Hood. She screamed and tried to run, but the wolf was quick. The heroic woodcutter. Just as it seemed like Little Red Riding Hood was in serious trouble, a nearby woodcutter heard her scream. He ran into the cottage, carrying his big axe, and saw the wolf about to pounce. With a loud shout, the woodcutter scared the wolf away, sending him running deep into the forest, never to be seen again. The woodcutter quickly checked the wolf's belly and found Grandma alive and well because, fairy tale magic. Grandma popped out, none the worse for wear, and hugged Little Red Riding Hood tight. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood promised never to talk to strangers and to always stay on the path. She also became a lot more careful about what her grandmother looked like. The moral of Little Red Riding Hood: always listen to your parents and be careful around strangers. Little Red Riding Hood got into trouble because she didn't follow her mother's advice and trusted a sneaky wolf. The story teaches us to be cautious and listen to the people who care about us. Questions about Little Red Riding Hood. 1. What did Little Red Riding Hood's mother tell her to do before she left for the forest? 2. Who did Little Red Riding Hood meet on her way to her grandmother's house? 3. How did the wolf trick Little Red Riding Hood? 4. What did Little Red Riding Hood notice was different about her grandmother? 5. Who saved Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother from the wolf?
Little Duck.